Well, hello again, and welcome to my humble abode. As you can see, a whole lot hadn't changed, but I'm slowly making progress. Today, we're going to talk about Chapter 15, Computer Mediated Communication. If you noticed, it's Chapter 15, it's the last chapter in the book, but since we are doing this online, I felt it appropriate we bring this topic up much earlier in the class. So, what is computer mediated communication? It allows us to go beyond time and space. The book says allowing it to be instantaneously asynchronous or nearly synchronous. So what is it? Computer mediated communication is communication through a variety of media. We have Facebook and Zoom and Google Class and all these different programs out there where we can talk. And computer mediated communication has evolved a great deal because I remember when it first started, everything was typing, and now we're talking and video chatting and seeing one another. And so it's growing and it's different. Now, group performance in CMC, computer mediated communication, I'm just starting saying CMC, it's a lot easier. It can enhance and promote broader participation and collaboration. It can foster positive team building, and it creates a social presence. There are technical issues that we have to deal with. Everybody doesn't have a computer, and everybody doesn't have internet. Most people do. Hopefully, all of you do, so you can take this class. But how good's your connection? For example, mine out where I live in the middle of nowhere is a DSL connection, and I have 4 megabytes max for download speed. Upload speed is generally about 0.9. So it takes me a long time to upload these videos. And, like this morning when I got up, I had no internet at my house. So we have technical issues we have to deal with. Now, the textbook that we're using, Small Group Team Communication, if y'all noticed, it was written in 2011. Needless to say, there's been a whole bunch of changes since 2011 in technology. And I'm wondering what the authors of this textbook are going to come up with after the pandemic. How has things changed? How have things changed? Social networking. Many of us use social networking, and it can do a few things. It can help your self-esteem. Especially when somebody likes something you posted. Ooh, they like that. I got a thing on Facebook the other day. The most liked photograph of 2015 was my diploma for my PhD. It made me feel good. When it's your birthday, you get all these happy birthday from all these different people. So it can promote some great positive things in relationships. But on the other hand, a lot of people get bullied through social networking and through the computers. And the difference is if you're at school and you get bullied, when you go home you're safe. But when you connect with the internet 24/7, you're never safe. Audio video conferencing. It actually started in the Army. Telemedicine, where the soldiers could be seen by a doctor that were way forward and the doctor was way in the back. And it's a great tool, but there's a few advantages, disadvantages. One of them is low budget. It costs a lot less to connect on the internet and see somebody than it does to fly there. So a lot of businesses have been moving to video conferencing and audio conferencing. But it's dependent on the quality of the connection. At first it was telephone conferencing. Audio conferencing through telephone, you get everybody together and you'd all be talking over the same phone line. And now we have this great video and audio, but it's dependent upon the quality of the connection. Synchronous versus asynchronous. This is an asynchronous class, meaning I post something, you watch it at your convenience, and you post back. Synchronous is real time. like we do a Zoom conference, or when we do your group presentation via Zoom, it will be synchronous, meaning it happens real time at that moment. Typing versus speaking. Earlier I mentioned that the early forms of communication, everybody was typing. And kind of like text, they got their own language. Instead of, typing "you're welcome," YOU apostrophe RE, WELCOME, they type YW. So you had to kind of learn a new language as you went along. What does this mean? Now we talk. And it's great that we can talk and get our point across. But once again, this is dependent on the quality of the connection we have. Groups, online, groups with computer-mediated communication. One aspect is you can get a greater diversity. But the other aspect of it is you're missing a segment of the population that may have some great ideas. For example, I've told you my mom's 90 years old. My mom doesn't use a computer. There's a lot of wisdom in a lot of these older people. But if they have no way to communicate, what good is it? I'm a member of Rotary, and every week we have a Zoom meeting because we don't meet in person anymore. And some of the older guys, they don't like Zoom. So they'll dial in and listen on the phone. Others don't like Zoom and don't like to dial in, but they're computer savvy enough that they can watch a YouTube video of it. So it gives you some different options to get the message out, get the connection done. But on the other hand, some of the diversity that you might get with it face-to-face, you might not get on Zoom or on a computer-mediated call. But if you're talking about something that affects the United States, you can get people from all over the United States. So that would be more diverse than a group of people from Columbus, Georgia. Gender swapping is something the book brings up. I don't know why they bring it up in a communication class, but in a group comm class. But hopefully none of you are gender swapping on here to fool somebody to think you're another gender. But it does happen. And when you deal with computer-mediated communication in general, you have to be careful of who you're talking to because you really don't know. Unless you have the video conferencing going on, a lot of times people have fake profiles and they pretend to be somebody else. That can be advantageous if you're a police officer trying to catch a pedophile. But if you're trying to meet somebody online through computer dating and they aren't who they say they are, it can cause a lot of problems. Ethics. Success is based on a high level of ethics. If you're going to have a successful group that meets virtually, you have to be ethical. If you tell somebody you'll get something done in a certain period of time, you need to get it done in that period of time. If you volunteer to do something, you need to get it done. If you tell everybody you'll be there at the meeting, you need to be ethical enough to be there at the meeting unless something happens. Adapting effective group communication strategies. First thing you have to do is choose a medium. Now, I told you this is your group. I don't care how you get together. I don't care if you use Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or many of those other programs that are out there. As long as you get together in your group and you chat and you talk to one another. Explore the methods that work for the group. When some groups get together, they want to first start by emailing one another, which is probably the best thing to start with. You might change over to text. You might change over to a Facebook page that's private, that's just your group. You might change over to Zoom. Whatever method works best for your group is the one that you need to use. A lot of times you have to reframe stuff. If we're talking face-to-face, a lot of times it's easy to understand what the person is saying. Sometimes it's not, don't get me wrong. But sometimes it's easy, I got what you're saying. But other times when you're dealing with computer-mediated communication, especially text, the message comes across wrong. Uh, and then, group text, sometimes what I see on my stream of conversation doesn't sync with what somebody else sees on their stream of conversation, and things get out of place and they don't make sense. And my daughter studied abroad, and when she flew back from Italy, my wife and I were side by side in the airport. My daughter got off the plane and she was texting us both. My wife was receiving those texts and I was not. I don't know why. We have the same carrier. I got our phones at the same time. We had the same type of phones. But for some odd reason, my wife was getting the text and I wasn't. And I've had other ones where, my wife, my two sons, my daughter, my two daughter-in-laws, my son-in-law and I are on a group chat. And sometimes somebody will say something, and then somebody else will say something else, but I won't get that one right away. I'll get two or three others, and then I'll get that other one. So a lot of times we have to reframe what we're saying, especially if we're using text as a conversation. Balance the needs of the members. Each one of you is unique, and each one of you has special needs. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just that some people prefer text, some people prefer videos, some people prefer synchronous, some people prefer asynchronous. You need to try to balance what the members need. To facilitate a group conversation or a group meeting via CMC, everyone needs to you need to collaborate. Each person needs to take responsibility and engage. I was recently on a 7,000 person Zoom conference call, and I was one of the speakers. And so, as far as I know, I had 7,000 people watching me saying what I had to say. That sounds kind of scary and it sounds kind of wonderful. But on the other hand, somebody may have been fixing a sandwich for their kids. Somebody could have been changing a diaper. Somebody could have been in the bathroom. Somebody could have, Vern's going to talk. I'll get me a drink. You all need to collaborate and take responsibility and engage in the conversation, not just play it and play a game on your phone while you're doing it. Whoever's leading the meeting, you need to have a strong discussion leader. You need to prepare for it. If you're going to talk about a PowerPoint, you need to make sure everybody has access to it. Well, if you're doing something like Zoom, you can bring it up and share the screen and everybody can see it. But if you're not, then you need to email them a copy of it and make sure they have it beforehand. And then you need to reduce the formality. We like it to be relaxed and comfortable. So, if we're relaxed, we're comfortable, we can kick back and we can watch this, that's great. If it's all rigid and stiff, it's much harder to relax and enjoy it and be part of it. So that's chapter 15. I hope I have helped. I'm really interested in finding out what the authors of this are going to think about what they've written after the pandemic, and find out, because we've used so many new types of technology since 2011. A lot of stuff that we use now wasn't even thought of then. So how is it going to change their perception? You should be working in your groups. You should have contacted each other by now via email at least. Set up some method to start talking. I've posted on Cougar View what your assignment is. Get together, find stuff, use communication. You all have my phone number. You all have my email address. If you need me, please contact me, and I'll help as much as I can. But if you wait 3, 4, 5 weeks down the road and then say, oh, I didn't get that chapter 15 and I'm confused and I'm lost and can I have extra credit? No. If you'd have contacted me the first week, then maybe. We'll figure it out. Okay? I'll see you next week. Hopefully these are helpful. Hopefully they're not too bad and boring. Maybe my office will look a little bit neater by the time I see you again. I'm working on that. Y'all have a great week. If you need me, please contact me. And remember, more than anything else, believe in yourself, because you can do this.